Hey guys, it's your girl, the only Ruby. I'm back with another reaction video about a title. I'm reacting to 42 Dugg on the run inside of his 6 months manhunt. And we're into it.
Most dangerous job number 1, being a rapper.
So how hard do you think it is to protect a rapper then?
What's it like coming from where you come from and making it out of where
That's kind of true too. Being a rapper and protecting a rapper.
Most dangerous job number 1, being a rapper.
So how hard do you think it is to protect a rapper then?
What's it like coming from where you come from?
That might be the hardest part, is protecting a rapper.
And making it out of
security's
where you come from.
I mean, it's really like, you know what I'm saying? Really.
Them security better be set for life when they like protecting a rapper.
As far as people going to jail, a lot of that going on. You know, for me, you know, I had just came home. That's how I started rapping in jail.
Now, if you guys don't know, 42 Dugg was taken into custody. You know what?
Oh.
He was on the run for the fence, okay? Police claim he utilized a bunch of methods to evade arrest. And by the way, evading arrest because he was supposed to turn, if you don't know, he was supposed to turn himself in for a 6-month sentence at a prison camp. That's like the little, like, low security prison. He was supposed to go to a prison camp for 6 months for some gun violation, okay? Instead, never showed up. MSP was on the run.
Hey yo squad, what's the drill? Back with another video, man. You know, Dion Marquise Hayes, aka 42 Dugg, is a rapper that might be famous all around the world today.
Sometimes when they be saying these rappers' government names, I just be shocked.
Back with another video, man.
I'm happy knowing they government names.
Dion Marquise Hayes, aka 42 Dugg, is a rapper that might be famous all around the world today, but he didn't start off that way. He literally started at the bottom. The man learned how to rap when he was in solitary confinement weighing 100 pounds, with no real hope left in the world. You think when somebody starts at the very bottom, they do whatever they possibly can to stay on top, far away from where they began, but it seems like with 42 Dugg, that ain't how he want to live, because he keeps landing into trouble. Today, we're doing a full rundown on exactly what's been going on with 42 Dugg, how he's ended up in trouble again, and what role Tekashi 6ix9ine may have played in it. So without further ado, let's skip the play.
The second damn video I'm watching.
Get down to business.
Tekashi just
to get to the present, we have to reel it back to the past. All the way back when 42 Dugg was still a teenager. He was born in the mid-90s and grew up on the streets of Detroit, where life was not easy by any means. It's not surprising that he ended up falling in the wrong crowd while he was out there. But most are surprised to hear when he first got arrested, he was just a youngin', and his arrest was for carjacking and being strapped while doing it. Soon after the carjacking, he was caught and arrested. At first, he was sentenced to 4 years in prison, but while he was there, he got into a major fight with another inmate and had another 2 years added to his sentence. Not only that, but he was even sent to solitary confinement twice. He explained how hard it was going through solitary confinement in the past, saying, I would only be there 30 days at a time and only eating breakfast. I used to get out of that joint being 110 pounds. I didn't like any of the food. I would have days where I only ate 1 cookie a day. A teenager forced to survive on nothing but a cookie? Now that's the bottom. But it was the bottom where he learned the key skill that got him to the highest point in his life, to rap. His inmates that would be in solitary confinement with him taught him how to rap, how to form his words into cohesive sentences. They'd be locked up alone for 23 hours every single day, and they spent time teaching him. And he absorbed all that knowledge like a sponge. By the time he got out at 22 years old, he was an expert. Soon after being released from prison, he released his first song, The Streets. And it wasn't long before he and Lil Baby began collaborating with songs like Grace, We Paid, and he became a household name. Suddenly, he went from being 15, being arrested off the streets, to being able to buy his own street if he wanted to.
They should have said how he. I honestly don't know how he linked up with the Baby. So
with songs like Grace,
so they should
We Paid, and he became a household name. Suddenly, he went from being 15, being arrested off the streets, to being able to buy his own street if he wanted to. He isn't even shy about talking about it. 3 months, dropped near $500,000. F a house, I nearly lost a building.
3 months, dropped damn near $500,000. For the house, I'm damn lost a building.
But even then, it was as if he was trying to keep himself grounded, and with releases like Judge Please, that was clear. To the world, it seemed like he was one of those people that had somehow finally made it out of the hard life. But little did we know that behind all that success was still the person that got caught carjacking and went to jail. It It started off with little things at first. On June 5th, 2020, a 2020 Chevy Tahoe in Oakland ran a stop sign, and when the police tried to pull the car over, the driver sped and managed to get away. It took them 2 months to track it back to 42 Dugg, who had rented the car and was driving. On August 2nd, he was sent to Oakland County Jail on a third-degree felony charge for fleeing a police officer. However, this time he went to jail. He wasn't the young Dion Marquise Hayes that he was the first time. He was 42 Dugg, the man who was able to pay millions if he had to get right back out to the streets. Within the next 2 days, he posted a $20,000 bond and got out, although he had to agree to wear an ankle monitor as a part of the release deal. In November, he released a song called Free Me, where he was pretty much pleading his own case and asking to be freed from house arrest. In late 2020, he was allowed to leave his home without the tracker, and well, it seemed as if he went right back into trouble. As a part of his release from the carjacking case, which involved a firearm, he wasn't supposed to carry any firearms at least until the end of his probation. But in late 2020, it was found that he had been to a shooting range with a strap, and there was photographed with evidence. The proof was so strong that 42 Dugg pled guilty to the charges in November 2020. I was sentenced to another 3 years probation along with the $90,000 fine. So don't show me no evidence. Yeah, I did it. But it was as if every time he had a brush with the law, he become that much more confident in breaking it. At the beginning of 2021, he tested positive.
True. The more money they make, the more they get in trouble because they just feel like they could get bond and pay for their lawyers.
Having multiple opioids in his system and for obstructing law enforcement. At this point, he had overstayed his welcome in the outside world and was sentenced to 6 months in the federal prison camp and was supposed to report on site on April 12th, but he never showed up. Not only that, but he was apparently starting to get more and more dangerous. On the 24th of March 2022, multiple women released a statement saying he had held them hostage.
Age comes with wisdom. This is a lot.
Wisdom comes with benefits.
I honestly didn't even know he got locked up with so much times.
Hostage at a Miami hotel. One of the women released photos along with a statement caption, "This is what your favorite celebrities do behind closed doors. This is not a joke." The woman filed battery charges against the rapper but took them back later on. For the next couple of months, 42 Dugg continued to avoid the law enforcement by staying a little elusive about where he was and what he was doing. While he was still putting out music, he was still on social media and was still getting into feuds of his own. At the start of April 2022, rapper Tekashi 6ix9ine, born Daniel Hernandez, uploaded a video where he was messing with a Lil Durk lookalike, making him wear a jacket with King Von's face on it.
I remember that. That's what we gotta do, bro. What I gotta do with him, though? Oh, I think he said something.
It's got bro the jacket.
Yeah, he did say something.
You know what I'm saying?
He's so weird for that.
Even though he doesn't mention 42 Dugg, Dugg was still
bothered. Why
bothered.
You do that to somebody that actually is cool with Durk? Like,
the fact that he just ambushed something like that and released a statement on Instagram.
About that.
It was a clear dig at 6ix9ine, one that he didn't take lightly. He went live on Instagram and talked about how he does not appreciate the elusive comments.
42 Dugg talking about, yo, bro, when I see, yeah, guy, you can take a picture. I said 42 Dugg talking about, yo, if niggas see niggas, like using other niggas, yo, 42 Dugg, I will smack the shit out you, bro. I will smack fire out you, nigga.
You would think it was all just two rappers going at each other,
so serious when he was
and it would just die down. But no, 42 Dugg responded to his challenge and said, I want to fight for $500,000 cash. Come to Miami tomorrow. Let's fight for $500,000. I don't care if you set me up. I want to be set up for the money. Miami, fight me. 6ix9ine took that 42 Dugg no longer wanted to fight and said, don't be making excuses now. Don't start with the, oh, he's trying to set me up. Oh, he's trying to trick me. Oh, blah, blah, blah. With your consent and my consent, it's all good. Pull up. Instead of going to a brawl, 42 Dugg decided to use that as an opportunity and made a diss track instead on his Instagram and said, I'm not going back and forth with no rat B. Just as things were starting to get super heated, the law enforcement agencies noticed the sudden online beef and got involved. By this point, 42 Dugg already missed reporting to the prison camp for over 6 months. So they began pinging his phone on the 28th of April and found that he was suddenly in Memphis. However, no flights had his name on the manifesto, not even the private ones. For using geo-tracking, they narrowed it down to a specific plane and found 42 Dugg on board. They detained him and put his phone on the table,
So
but the pilot of the
names?
plane swiped the phone and tried to escape with it, only to be caught a few minutes later. 42 Dugg was arrested on the 6th of May 2022 with 2 extended magazines, Glock firearms with 30-round capacity on him.
How you
What
get
the
that in the
police
plane?
found insane
Airport.
was the fact that he was able to get on a private plane with a pilot willing to fly an unnumbered
Oh, a
flight
private.
where he
Okay.
is not included on the flight's manifest. The detective summed it up by saying, "That's not an accident, that's not happenstance." 42 Dugg has a little too much power now, and he's able to use it to get out of
You
trouble
need to stop getting
almost every
locked up.
time
You
since
really
his
my favorite
initial
artist
release.
right now.
But
You need to
considering the
stop.
circumstances, he was found this time.
Free
It's
him,
almost
free
certain
Hot
that
Boy,
he's not
free
really
Dugg.
going to get out of
Free
this one
Gunna.
very easily.
Who else?
Can you believe that 42 Dugg made it from the bottom, only to somehow land right back there again?
Something is not right. So he beat. We don't say he got into
On
it.
Instagram and talked about how he does not appreciate
And then
Man.
a few days later,
with the he's trying to
Same
set
thing
me
that
up.
happened
Oh, he's trying to trick me.
600 Breezy?
Oh, blah, blah, blah. With your consent and my consent, it's all good. Pull up. Instead of going to a brawl, 42 Dugg decided to use that as an opportunity and made a diss track instead on his Instagram and said, "I'm not going back and forth with no rat B." Just as things were starting to get super heated, the law enforcement agencies noticed the sudden online beef and got involved. By this point, 42 Dugg
I
already
wouldn't say it's
misreported to the
6'9",
prison
but it
camp
seemed
for
like
over 6
everybody
months.
who's
So they
beefing
began
him
pinging his
gets
phone on the
locked up.
28th of April and found that he was suddenly in Memphis. However,
I mean,
no
cops
flights had
do
his
be
name on the
watching,
manifesto,
but it's just
not even the
weird.
private ones. But using geo-tracking, they narrowed it down to a specific plane and found 42 Dugg on board. They detained him and put his phone on the table, but the pilot of the
how
plane
if
swiped the
he's
phone and tried to
using a
escape with
private
it,
jet?
only to be caught a few minutes later. 42 Dugg was arrested on the 6th of May 2022 with 2 extended magazines, Glock firearms with 30-round capacity on him. What the police found insane was the fact that he was able to get on a private plane with a pilot willing to fly an unnumbered flight where he is not
that pilot
included on
gonna
the
get in
flight's
trouble.
manifest. The detective summed it up by saying, "That's not an accident, that's not happenstance." 42 Dugg has a little too much power now, and he's able to use it to get out of trouble almost every time since his initial release. But considering the circumstances, he was found this time. It's almost certain that he's not really going to get out of this one very easily. Can you believe that 42 only to somehow land right back there again? The rapper is now facing 5 years in prison, which is around the same time he spent locked up when he was a teenager before his massive career
I thought he got
began.
6 months.
Will he make it out of this one being as successful as the last time? Will he crash and burn? Or will he be able to avoid the whole thing altogether? We'll just have to
What
wait.
rapper got 8 years? Oh no, that's Pooh. And Pooh Shiesty locked up.
See,
Nah, this is
and there
ridiculous.
you have it. Thanks for kicking
I ain't
it
never
with your
seen this
boy.
much rappers get locked
Appreciate
up.
the love and support. Be sure to like,
Look at
subscribe,
Chef
and
G got
comment
8
about how you
years.
feel about 42 Dugg's latest
And
troubles.
Chef
Be sure to
G,
keep
Chef
you
G got like
updated
what,
with the
5
latest
years?
information.
How
You know
long
how
locked
we
up?
do. In the meantime,
Got case
I'll catch y'all
locked
when I
up.
spin back round for the next vid. And
There's so much
remember,
rappers getting
stay